Hola, mi clase. We are moving on to 17.2, determining the slope and y-intercept. So I can determine the slope and the y-intercept of a table or a graph. So our key terms are our linear equation, y equals mx plus b. This is called a linear equation because it's going to make a line like we learned in 17.1. So the y-intercept is the letter b. It's the y-coordinate of a plane where a graph crosses the y-axis, and it'll be listed like this, 0 and then b, and the b will be a number. All right, this will be a number. Slope is m, and we will use our slope formula that we learned in module 16. So y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And then slope-intercept form is this linear equation up above. So sometimes it's called slope-intercept form. It's also called a linear equation. So it's written in the form y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept of the equation's graph. All right, so we are going to determine the rate of change and the initial value, and we're going to write an equation for this situation. So we have y equals mx plus b. M is our rate of change, which we also call our slope. And b is going to be our initial value, which we also call our y-intercept. So a phone salesperson is paid a minimum weekly salary and a commission for each phone sold, as shown in the table. Confirm that the relationship is linear and give the constant rate of change, m, and the initial value, b. So first thing we're going to do is find the slope. So we're going to find our rate of change, and that's when we're going to do our subtracting. So they technically want us to confirm that it's constant, so we are going to technically check all of them. So if I subtract 930 by 780, I get 150. And if I subtract 40, take away 30, I get 10. And then I'm going to do it again. So 780, take away 630, I get 150. And if I subtract this way, I get 10. And then 630, take away 480, right here, I get 150. And again, I get 10. So you can see they're all the same. So it is going to be 150 divided by 10. And when we do that, we get 15. That is our slope, or our m. So this is something we've already done, right, when we were in module 16. Now, the new part is finding our initial value when the number of phones sold is 0. So the initial value is what this person gets paid even if they don't sell any phones. Okay, so that's initial value, the starting amount before we sell any phones. So you can see on our table, I don't have that. And so I'm going to show you the mathematical way to do it, and then I'll kind of maybe later show you the easier way, but we're going to do the mathematical way. So we're going to take our equation, y equals mx plus b. So y equals mx plus b. And we're going to plug in everything that we can. We now know our slope, right? So we're going to put that in there. And we actually have the y and the x. The y and the x are any of the points on this table that we want to use. So I'm just going to use the very first one because they're the smallest numbers. So it's going to look like this. I'm going to go 480 equals my slope of 15. I'm going to times it by 10 because that's the x that goes with 480. I'll circle it on that table. And then I'm going to go plus b because what I don't know is that y-intercept. So we're going to multiply 15 times 10. So that gets us 150 plus b equals 480. So what I need to do is figure out what plus 150 gets me 480. And so we can do that a couple different ways. The easiest way is just to subtract. So I'm going to subtract 150. I'm going to subtract 150. And we get that, write it down here, B equals 330. And so that's our initial value. Okay. And that's because when he sells 0 phones, he's going to get $330. So the salesperson receives a salary of $330 before his commission. So if he sells no phones, he gets $330. So now that we have our B and our M, we can write an equation. Y equals 15x plus 330. And you can see this equation looks like the equations you guys dealt with on 17.1. So in 17.1, you were given this and made this lovely table. Now you're given the table and have to give me the equation. Alrighty, so here's another table. So we're going to do it again. So first thing I'm going to do is find my slope. So I'm going to subtract here, gets me 2, gets me 2, gets me 2. And then I'm going to subtract here, I get 10, 10, 10. Remember, it's always the y's over the x's. So it's 10 over 2, which is 5. That gets me my slope. So that goes here. Again, we don't have our initial value. See how it doesn't say 0 on my x? That's what I'm looking for, is when there's a 0 on my x. And since there is no 0, I got to go find it. So again, I really like to always pick the smallest points, but it doesn't really matter. And we're going to plug this information into our equation. So y equals mx plus b. So my y is 22. That's off the table. My slope is 5, because that's what we just found. And then our x that goes with 22 is 2. And I'm going to write plus b because I don't know what it is. So I get 22 equals 10 plus b. I'm going to subtract just like I did on the last problem. And we get 12 equals b. And that goes here. And now since I have these two things, I can write my equation. Y equals 5x plus 12. It doesn't matter which point you've used. I'm just going to show you. You don't have to copy this down if you don't want to, but I'm just going to show you another point. So I'll use 6 and 42. And so I'll do the same thing. Y equals mx plus b. So I go 42 equals 5 times 6 plus b. I get 42 equals 30 plus b minus 30. And look at that, I still get 12. So I just want to prove to you that it doesn't matter which point you used, you will always get the same thing. So on a graph, it's actually a lot easier to find the slope and the y-intercept. So the slope is like what we did in 16. You can do it 2 ways. You can count 1, 2. Since I went down, it's negative. 1, 2, 3. Since I went to the right, it's positive. And then I just write it, negative 2 over 3. Now you also can take your points, right, and subtract. So 6 minus 4 over negative 3 minus 0 is 2 over negative 3, which is the same thing. The y-intercept is very nice and easy. It's wherever it crosses the y-axis. So the y-axis is this red line that I've just drawn in. My blue line crosses it right here. And all we want is technically, right, it is this point, but the b is only the 4. So it's just wherever it crosses, and see how the y is 0. And now that I have my m and my b, y equals negative 2/3 x plus 4. And I'm done. So graphs are a lot easier, just remembering how to find your slope. All right, things to remember. We want to make sure we find our slope using the slope formula. to type this in, find slope using y. Let's see, actually, if I like this, will it just put it in there for me? No. Hold on, I'm going to steal it from my beginning video. Boop, 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 real fast. Don't have to type it again. Using that. And then find Y-intercept by plugging in the slope and a point. All right, so your independent practice is similar to that example. So you can use this example. It's your first additional practice problem to help you with this one. It's almost identical. So go ahead and try it, and then we will work on it some more. Until next time.